What's up, bro? What's going on, Tim?
What's going on, brother? How you doing today?
Man, just talking gutter stuff with members, getting ready for, we've got some nice plans for this year and kind of same old. And then we started talking about we should talk about, how to recruit and retain top talent, right? A lot of that has to do with hiring. We want to make this one really educational. Let's get right into it. Tim, you got to make a hire. What's your process? Why don't you give us the short process of when you're ready to hire somebody?
So I think that's where most people go wrong is they wait until they have to hire, right? They lose their top guy or they're starting to grow and they're like, oh, wait, I need someone. And they kind of wait until they really need someone, and then they throw out ads and they, nothing happens the first week and they're like, no one wants to work and people don't want to work anymore. But that's not really the case. It's just that you didn't prepare. You waited last minute and now you're scrambling and you're a little bit desperate. So you end up putting the wrong guy in there. Now your view of things is that nobody wants to work and everybody sucks. And that's just not the case.
Yeah, I think you hit that nail right on the head right there. Yeah, being behind means you're going to be reactionary and you're going to be really limited to how much you actually want to onboard. Okay, listen, y'all hear me now. Being reactionary in hiring, exactly what Tim just said, kind of last minute, either because of growth or somebody leaving you, right? Those are the two big ones. When you do it last minute, you don't properly onboard your employees because you're stressed. You're working the wrong direction. You just need them in the field immediately. And you can't actually give them that real, whatever the name of your company, hug, bring in, warm welcome professionally with a real career opportunity into your company. I think that's literally what happens right from the get-go when people are reactionary in their hiring. Okay, so what do? You have a plan drawn out, right? When you're owning your gutter business, you have a plan. When you're probably going to start being ready because of your marketing budget, things like that. Hey, we're going to ramp up this part of the season. We're going to grow. We're going to get another truck. We should add somebody. And besides that, you should always be hiring. I mean, do you
right?
Like in the sports analogy?
Generally, what I recommend, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows that in order to get leads, to get work, you have to advertise, right? If you're not advertisement, you don't have the phone ringing, you're not bringing in work. Well, it's the same principle when it comes to hiring. Like, obviously, when you hire, you have to put an ad up. So you're advertising. You're not advertising to get business. You're advertising to bring on a team member. And it shouldn't be something that you wait last minute to do. This should just be a strategy that you do all year round. And I don't care if it costs you $5,000 a year to do. How much does it cost you when you're scrambling and you got 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months where you don't have a seat, you don't have a driver in that seat, and you're losing money every day? How much money are you really losing? You might lose $5,000 the first week. So ultimately, you want to have a strategy in place to where you're always having people come in, you're always having leads, and now you got a pool of people to draw from. So say that guy, he quits. Or, something happens, someone might have to move, or you might just be growing and you got a ton of business and you need to get help. If you've been running ads for the last 6 months to get people, sending in applications, now you got a pool of people to call from. And you might have your hire right there already just from the people that already applied.
And it happens. It's very true. I mean, you're spot on with that. All I was going to say, like sports analogy, just because you think your quarterback's really good too. I mean, let's dive deep into this a little bit. Why certain people are really good at hiring and keeping. It's the way they do their entire process. When you're always hiring, your best guy is not always going to be your best guy. Your best guy is still 10, 15, 1 year later sometimes. What if another guy is just right in your area and you're advertising as a part of your strategy, as you're speaking of, which is brilliant. Put it into your strategy to always be looking for the best people. Always be looking for the best people. And if you do it.
Another view of it, you're talking about, you might find a guy that's very talented, 10 years in the business. He's a top guy. He's better than some of the employees you have now. you're not going to find that guy waiting last minute and scrambling around trying to fill that seat. You're going to find that guy when you're running ads all the time, and it might be you run into this guy, you might not even be hiring at the time, but it might be such good talent that be retarded not to put them in place, and it might even be something that, now I'm going to ramp up my advertisement budget because I found this guy and I need him on my team. He's going to be the one that helps take me to the next level. And, I found him because I was looking 365. Like, if you do it every day, you're already 365% more likely to find that hire. Like, if you don't have your bait out there, you're not catching fish.
100%. And when you I mean, it's just spot on. That's why I love having these conversations with you. Speaking of recording more conversations, that's going to happen a lot this year, right? But so y'all look, it's coming, it's here. This is one of them. But this really separates the weak retention at a company. This really separates the weak retention at a company over a period of 3 to 5 years. Could really change the entire direction of how you feel about owning the gutter business, first off. Secondly, maybe your home life, or if it's intertwined, at all, you're hinging money on the gutter business doing really well so you can do other things in life, which, I'm not advising. But it all starts right here with being prepared, right? Success is preparation meeting opportunity. You said something that's very true about my personal life and some of the businesses I've ran, right? People haven't even been hiring, and good talent comes along and they're like, whoa, okay, this guy's a juggernaut for sure. Definitely not your average talent. Well, let's pump some money into everything because, we can systematize this and get some really good training. But those companies, you owners, you have to be attractive to the employee, right? And so you got to be thinking, Tim's talking about you just thinking 1 year ahead. So if you can start doing that, thinking 1 year ahead, having your year planned out, things aren't going to go perfect. Dates will change, etc. But if it's actually mapped out, oh man, that's going to be huge into retaining, because once you get these guys, you can't be a disaster. And I say these guys, meaning just a good employee. Maybe somebody who's worked, Tim, maybe he was in plumbing for 10 years, worked for a great guy, a company, and they sold or they moved or something. And he's used to healthy culture, healthy communication, functioning business, supportive goals, etc. And then comes to you and you spew all that stuff. And then, 3 weeks in, he realizes, that he's about to go on this learning curve with you.
Let's talk a little bit about like how you could advertise. I got a couple different ways that I like to do it. The number one thing that I recommend doing like right away is having an application page on your website. Like literally just have your web team or your SEO company build another page. It's an application form. People can fill it out. And, not everything costs money. You could put now hiring on the back of your box truck and have a URL to that website. And now, like, as you're driving around, people see the big gutter truck, other gutter guys. When we're driving down the street, we always notice another gutter truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you driving around, gutter guys are going to see you. And if they're looking for employment, they're going to call you. They're going to apply. So that's a good.
Here's the thing, Tim. When you don't have a job, the people are also helping, trying to find you a job. So your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, whoever, your cousin, your grandma that you're living. So I'm just saying everybody's looking for work. That's what people say, right? And so the more, like Tim says, that you have the opportunity to at least apply, making applying very easy is very important. Go ahead. Sorry, Tim.
So that's one way I like to do it. And then, as far as like the free ways, there's local Facebook groups, there's hiring groups, there's job seeker groups. If you join those groups in your local area and start posting in there, you're going to get a ton of applicants. So, you got that. I wouldn't sleep on Craigslist. Craigslist, even though we think it's not as popular as it was, it's still doing $698 million a year.
Wow.
So there's especially these old school guys. There's so many old school gutter guys that's just how they got their jobs back in the day. And they're still using Craigslist. So, I wouldn't sleep on that. and then, you could do a little bit of paid stuff. You could do paid Facebook ads and drive people to the application. You got Indeed, you got ZipRecruiter, you got LinkedIn. So, I mean, there's numerous ways to do it. But, a good fisherman doesn't generally just have one line out there. When you know someone that is a good fisherman and they're about their business and they're going there to catch fish, those guys that come up with the carts and they have like 4 fishing poles and they're running 4 lines. I mean, I wouldn't just do one thing. I would do multiple things, maybe put a budget towards what type of paid ads you're going to use. And I would say like right now, I think Indeed's probably the leader, so maybe it's worth putting a $500 a month budget towards Indeed. And yeah, it's $500. It sucks. No one likes spending money. But literally, how much money are you losing every month not filling those spots and not growing your team? And, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I was doing a little looking here, and it says, I completely agree. I think that you should always be hiring, just everything that you're saying completely adds up, so
where my best hires
there's not a lot of gaps
from?
for me to fill, Tim.
You know where my best hires came from?
Me and yours on the same page. What do you got?
Employee recruitment program. I used to give my guys $500 if they found me a skilled installer that was good and did quality work. And if they stayed for 30, 60 days, they would get it. And the thing about the employee recruitment program is people are less likely to leave a job if they have a friend at a job. And so when another employee brings someone over, they're generally already friends with them. They generally tend to fit the company culture, and they tend to stick because people don't really like leaving jobs that they got friends at. It's like, well, I don't want to. I would leave, but my buddy's here. So and then also it helps with onboarding. A lot of companies will do like, say if it's not a friend, they'll assign a buddy. And that person will kind of be responsible of helping the person on board and, kind of linking up and helping them.
Yeah, that's really works really well too. I mean, just having systems and processes in place is a whole world different than, just running a for-profit trade of services with a bunch of other grown men and their lives and their families and not really be able to offer them something tangible. I saw a post today, people are always talking about it. Just like, oh, it's all about how much you pay your guys. And do people care about money or not? Or I mean, inflation is absolutely crazy, right? We feel it as business owners. Like some people act like their employees don't feel it. Like if you're not paying your employees something more just because of the inflation in the past 4 to 8 years, like that's unfair too. So if you're still paying the same way you did 10 years ago, I mean, that's fine if it's getting by and it's healthy. Listen, I'm not in your books. I'm not saying you, Tim, but just in general, that's fine if it's healthy. I get it. But you could have like a little thought to yourself, like, man, it's going to cost more for talent. Right. And so it's really important to have it like just a part of your process. Culture, obviously, again, the biggest part is having a culture king, a real truth in culture, not a fake culture. I deal with a lot of fake cultures. Truth in culture, right? Where the hopes and dreams and aspirations of the people who are working for you, and a lot of them align because that's how groups form and that's how alliances form and that's how partnerships form. And if it's always just owner and employee, there's never going to be a real mutual respect there, given, earned, taken, denied, unless you start that right from the beginning and make it clear that that's something you're really looking to drive home at your company, and you're looking for leaders in that. And it's important that they're comfortable speaking up, speaking out, speaking in, helping run meetings. And like you said, that buddy, right? So when your buddy tells you he works at a place that's organized and disciplined and prepared for, and you give them something too, right? Either $200, $300, $400, $500 on 90 days. And if the guy stays for 6 months, you give him a little something too. It's all important stuff.
Getting back to that fishing analogy, right? So you could still have
Yep.
4 lines out there, but if you're fishing with, I don't know, carrots, and fish don't eat carrots, you know,
Ooh.
you don't have good bait,
Yeah.
then they're not going to bite. So
Yep.
you could do all these things, but are you a good company to work for? Like, would you work for you? So what does this ad look like
Yeah.
that you're writing? Like, what is in it for the employee? So it's like a lot of times we all just write, well, you must be able to get on a ladder, must be able to get on the roof, must. And, nothing's really appealing to the actual applicant of why they would want to work there. And so, like, that
Yeah.
just gets down to, would you work for you?
Yeah.
And I think
that
that's where
makes,
you've always excelled, Grant, with the culture, because you've been able to bring people on and sell them not just a job, but an actual career.
yeah, it's really, that's a really important thing to me. My intentions in dealing with, like I said, with other humans, that if they're willing to walk the line, and we spell that line out, right? It's hanging gutters, it's under drip edge, it's like whatever the rules and regulations are of this company, here they are. And then here's your sick days, here's your paid days, here's your paid, like, spell it all out in a handbook. And then talk to them about the renegotiation. There's a lot of really small, subtle things that I do that really get me to be the culture champ. It's literally by letting them know, I know that it's going to be really important to you to be reevaluated. And you might be scared to come ask for more money, but yes, this isn't just a regular job. Here, work, move this stuff, drill this stuff, and then you just can't plan your life. I want to be a part of your growth. And so if you've got any big plans, please let the company know about them. If you're going to be getting married, having a baby, you're thinking about proposing, you're buying a house, we'd really like to be a part of your success. Maybe at some point in time when you really need more money, it's going to be a great time for us to grow. And let's be on the same walk together. Because, brother, I'm promising you that growth is going to happen with me. That's something I tell the people when they get hired. Growth is going to happen with me and this company. And if you'd like to be a part of it, let us know how we can help you grow, and we'll constantly reevaluate you.
Well,
And we
Grant,
can get you to
so
the top pay. We just want to
they do these things.
get them to the top pay, right?
They do these things, and they get leads coming in, and now they got 10, 15 people applying every day. Let's talk a little bit about the interviewing process. I know that you got a couple systems, and you you excel at the interviewing. What do you do? Whether you get them on a Zoom or you get them in person, what does that onboarding look like? Because first impressions matter. Or that interview process.
Yeah. I think we broke up there a little bit. Might have been me. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, you didn't hear what I said?
No. Yes, I did. Yeah, so I do. I'll touch on like one or two things about the interviewing process. You have to put someone that's good with people in charge of your interviewing. Number one, like someone that's really uncomfortable with strangers. That's just my number one key to anyone listening. If you aren't the type of person that would just walk up to a random person in Walmart and be comfortable talking about you like their socks or their hair or their glasses, you shouldn't be the person doing the interviewing. Like if you can help it, of course, like there's something to look for. Make sure the person doing the interviewing is very charismatic. This is the first impression of someone that's going to help you build and amass your fortune. That's why people run businesses, right? It's not to make pennies on the dollar, trying to amass some type of fortune. They take a lot of front end risk, put a lot of work in to build something that eventually works for itself, right? So just make sure that you're very personable if you're doing the interviews. Second of all, I like to first foot forward. So you can look for this first foot forward and other really awesome documents in our gutter growth vault and our mastermind. We're not going to talk about that right now, but these are the kind of things that me and Tim are putting. I'll give you a glimpse into first foot forward. It's one employee talking to a future employee or even a current employee in distress with a certain amount of care, like real care, genuine care about them as a person, to being able to remove business. And you can create a connection right there that is called loyalty. And you can determine if you can like ring that bell at the same time as somebody. And that's how I hire. And that's how I usually it's not perfect, but there's a lot of that in there. And I know that's deep, but that's really important, is to be able to make this personal connection with someone and put your foot forward and say, here's why I work here. Not like, oh, tell me about yourself and what you do. No, here's why I work here. And I'm letting you know we're growing, man. We need more people. And let's see if we can make a connection. That's literally what the interview process is about. A lot of people doing the interview are cold. They're dry. Their breath stinks. They got morning gunk in their eye. The interviewer's late and then apologizes a bunch and says, I'm just extremely busy. That's why we're hiring. Like, I've seen that a crap ton. Like, yeah. You're talking about always hiring and recruiting top talent. None of those things are going to work for top talent. They're like, you're going to think you're getting that guy, Tim, and he's going to be like, no, this guy's a disaster. I just got done working for one of those, you know? So,
yeah, I mean, if you take
really
your
important.
business seriously, other people will take you seriously. So, I mean, if you're not a good business, you're going to have a hard time hiring people. They're going to come to your office and realize that you're just all over the place, or, you know, or maybe you don't have an office and you're just, you know, rolling out the bed type of deal, getting the gutter truck going. And, you know, they're looking to grow. They don't want to be in a dead end spot. They want to be with a winner that's going places, and they're going to help bring them places. And people are generally happy when they're growing.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, that interview process for me has always been very easy when I know that they're going to be working for me directly, right? Like, I've been doing the hiring at places for about over a decade, and I was as a lead for almost 30 years now, like, have had an influence and when we're hiring somebody. But it's different as sitting as a manager, not as an installer. And, you know, you've given your word to the owner that you're going to build a team. Like somebody like me, I tell, you know, Kip or whoever, if I tell Tim, hey, I'm going to build a team and there are going to be systems and processes in place, and this is how I'm about to hire. Like, we need to pay this way. We need to offer this stuff. This is really what's happening in the industry. This is what good talent's going to cost to train. Because there's a huge mistake too. Let's touch on this really quickly. Having your guys train somebody completely for free. But we'll have another topic on it, Tim, I think, because we could have you don't have to pay people a fortune. You're already paying them, you know, but just being noted that when you throw a new guy into your team, that they know that, and even they could be all the way bought in. They know that in their, you know, so there needs to be some perks for training.
You broke up there for a second, bro.
Yeah, just was saying there needs to be some perks for training. It's a side conversation.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't enthused.
Just make sure you know that. Yeah. Well, that's the downfall. You just hired top talent. You did everything that Tim said. You got a 365 schedule. You bring in a guy, and you got 6 or 7 employees, and you kind of talk really big, and then put them out to your guys, and they're like, "Oh, we don't actually have any training here. He's going to make us train you."
Another thing, Grant, it shouldn't be completely on the employees. Like, are they getting a company handbook? Do they got something to study and kind of figure out what the company culture is? Like, do they got an idea of the company culture? Like, are you having them sign company contracts, employment contracts? Is there any training processes? Like, do you have any training videos that they could watch? Homework that they could do on their own, so they're coming in more prepared. And I think that, a lot of times we hire people and we just kind of throw them out to the wolves.
Yeah.
Do you have a follow-up process? Are you following up in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? I mean, there has to be something where they're just not getting thrown out there to the wolves, and maybe they make it, maybe they don't. Like, if you have processes in place to get them transitioned on, it won't all be on the, the installer to help train them. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. If there's some incentive there, that might help because a lot of guys don't like training. But if you have a good company culture and that's your culture is, growth, and they understand where you guys are going, and they need to help contribute that so that the company can grow. And if you're having weekly company meetings and doing these things to keep the culture good, I mean, you're going to have you're going to retain more employees.
Yeah, and I'll give you kind of an otherworldly, but this is going to hit the nail on the head for a lot of people, Tim. When you're speaking of culture, that mother's culture, right? That mother, there needs to be, like in these smaller gutter businesses, when the like owner's wife is super helpful and in the business and kind and generous and thoughtful, like probably how it is working for Tina, versus a lot of the like more direct, just rough and tough men. We got all these systems, we're doing all this, but at the end of the day, they just want you to work day and night, and there's actually no systems in place. And
right.
it's all kind of a joke. We're like, let's say you were working for Tina, right? And I know I have buddies that work for her. Like, she's a total kick ass to work for because she's got her ducks in a row. Like you said, would you work for you? You know what I mean? You're throwing a pizza party.
I was seeing a stat
and, like,
today that 58% of people are got 1 foot out the door. Like they're thinking about leaving.
Yes.
58% of employees.
Well, here's the problem. I'll tell you exactly why. And my hands up. I've been a part of this for a bunch of companies that I worked at, where it's like the owners talk about culture, but nobody actually likes the owner. It's as clear as day. It's just part of what it is. It's like the owners can absolutely get in the way. Now, the owner, you should know. I've worked for some guys that know flat out. They're like, yeah, I'm not that great of a people person, this and that. Like, if you know that, man, you got to get out of the way. But yeah, when it comes to hiring, man, like, in a small gutter business, the owner should like be involved and understand what his onboarding. That's what you were talking about, making sure there's a proper onboarding. If he's doing the hiring, which let's say in the gutter industry, from what I've seen, it's probably around 85 to 95% of companies, the owner is doing the hiring, like doesn't have a management team that he completely trusts. Like, yeah, if you're hiring somebody and I see them on the payroll 3 weeks later, that's fine. Yeah, there's some of those. But when I hired somebody, it wasn't just like usually last second. It just depends on the budget that the owner allows you and how far out does the owner plan with you, right, Tim? It's all about that vision. So making it clear, hey, when we hire people here, here's an onboarding process that's fully built out, and I expect it to happen. And it's going to take the first, 3 days with these checkups. And then you just want them with computers. Hey, with the secret weapon, with one of our secret weapons working for you, if that's some data you wanted them to do, send you a little reminder on your calendar. It's the 30-day, the 60-day, the 90-day. Send it to your managers, your onboarding person. It's easy. It's so easy now to come in and review these people.
Another thing you could do, are you asking like for feedback? Like, or you're getting feedback after every hire,
Yeah.
like on that 30 or 60-day, 90-day period, why don't you get some feedback and some constructive criticism back? Like, that's another thing. Like, if your guys are afraid to talk to you, like that's going to hinder growth. So you got to have that communication thing. And that's a good way to kind of initiate it, is on the onboarding, ask them, how did they like the onboarding? Is there anything that, we could have changed or improved? And now you're kind of setting the pace for them working for you by opening up that communication, to where they'll go back and forth and actually give you feedback. Because I personally, like, I want the truth from my guys. I don't want them something going wrong and they're afraid to tell me, so I just never get told.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you one. Can I give you one, like, just really wild example?
Yeah.
I know I can. Let's say you're the owner of a company and you're out there working and your guys won't work for you. I've been a part of this. I've not had anybody say it to me, but like I've managed a lot of guys and I see it where like one guy's on his cell phone all day long, literally. And he still does his 250, 300, 400 feet of gutter, maybe even 500 a day, right? And he can TikTok and talk to his baby mama and all that stuff. But 9 out of 10 guys can't. And so when the leader, or let's say you're an owner operator and you're out there on these gutter chats from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m., and you are on every comment, you're doing everything, and you don't have a like business that's running itself. I know employees hate that crap, man. Like if you say you're pouched up is all I'm saying. If you're an owner and you say you're pouch up, which means like get off the phone. You know what I mean? Otherwise, call. What do they say? Call a spade a spade. Hey guys, I'm here just doing social media all day. I'm not gonna act like I'm working, because that's horrible for your employees too. In this day and age with the internet is all I'm saying. Because keeping employees is huge, right? And if a lot of your employees aren't happy with the way other employees are pulling, everybody's scared to lose their job, Tim. The cost of living is so high. Groceries are so high. They're pulling stuff from the shelves. Imagine when there's a little bit more panic from a storm or just, government joking around with crap and now there's no eggs and this and that. Like, and the owners making good money and the employees, he's scared to lose his job. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing. Like you said, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. A lot of employees are walking.
I mean, that's another key thing with retaining help is, do they feel secure? Job security is a huge thing. Like, people want to be somewhere they could feel secure, that they're not going to lose their job, and that they're going to excel and grow and have a future there. So if it just gets down to, are you a good company to work for? If you're not, take a look in the mirror, and prove it.
Yeah, I think it's serious to take some notes. I'll kind of end this hiring session with this for, just come up with like 10 things. Just start like this. And if you do 8 or 50, it's whatever. But come up with the solid 10 things that would be really important to you. If all of a sudden your gutter company was gone, you didn't have a lot of money or any money in the bank, and it was you and your wife and your 2 kids, and you had mortgage and all this stuff, and you were about to go, what your minimum, what you'd work for is. Put that down. Oh man, I mean, I've been a business owner for 11 years and I make $290,000 a year. You'd have to pay me $60 to, okay, right, $60 on there, big dog. And just remember that all of humanity is inherently good. Everybody wants that same $60. Everybody wants that same 100. So make sure you're giving them an opportunity, or you're not going to retain them. And give them the steps to get there. That's all. Just give them the steps. I'm not saying hire them and overpay them. Build them up. Pat them on the back. Ask them about their family. When they got a funeral, maybe you show up. I've said this for years to people, like, how many of you owners have been to one of your employees' sons' basketball games, football games, soccer game, church with them? I'm just saying, think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true.
What about you, Tim? What do you think? What do you think is right? I mean, you ain't got to be best friends with everybody. I get that, business and pleasure.
I mean,
but there's something
I treated my guys good. If
it's really
say that they were on a project, right? If I'm around my guys, I'm not around them every day. You know what I'm saying? I'm not always on the job site. But if I'm around my guys and it's lunchtime, I'm bringing them lunch. And it's those things like that, those little gestures, they really go a long way. And it doesn't cost you that much. I mean, you're not buying lunch every day, but, I got them on an apartment complex. I'm going out there, I'm going to bring them lunch for the day, things like that. And it shows that you care. And another thing, are you flexible when they have something in their personal life come up? Because everything's not all business. There might be doctor's appointments or something they got to take care of their family. Like, are you going to be flexible for them? Because if you're never, they're probably not going to stay there that long, and so have your guys' back. Like, if you have their back, they're going to have your back. And I've always experienced that. So I had guys that would, go above and beyond for me, but when they needed me, I would go above and beyond for them within reason, Yeah.
You got to build that we were talking about, just building that mutual respect. I'm not a guy that, and nobody has to earn my respect. It's already given, and then you could lose it, right? And so that's really important. Hey, man, I appreciate you. You have so much knowledge all the time, man. It's a blessing to start off 2025 talking to my bro about gutter business. We're looking forward to giving you guys as much education this year and for many years to come, as long as you'll receive it. So thank you guys. Happy New Year, Tim. And
You too, bro.
if they listen, the employees will come.